All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on back to the Cinema Lords podcast. Big episode for you guys tonight. One I'm very, very excited about. Not going to be talking movies. I would say we're not going to be talking TV, but I guess this basically falls into the realm of television. But we're going to be talking about the first 6 episodes of Surviving Barstool. Got a nice little host of my fellow Minifans here. We got John and Warren. John, what's going on, brother?
Cinema, thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm happy to have you on. This is the first time that we've done one another shows. We've done shows together, but never one another's.
That's true. Basketball team. We've been in studio together, but proud to be on the Cinema Lords podcast.
That was a fun time. I always have fun in studio, but that was a good day.
That was a good time.
That was. We got Steve, YoureLiveToTape, who was just recently in studio. We talk a lot on Twitter, but we never talked, however you want to put it, face to face, voice to voice.
What's going on, bud? Be good.
Happy to have you on.
Happy to be here.
Just snuck in here after dinner, right?
Yeah, a little hibachi for a friend's birthday party. So that was a nice little experience, a little sushi. So that was good.
Can never go wrong. How was the chef? Is he good trickster?
Yeah, except he tossed the egg into his hat and it bounced out and smashed on the floor. So other than that, it was great.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, it was fun though.
And last but not least, we are joined by the biggest sports journalist in fucking New England.
Depends on
who only Mick. What's up, buddy? It's been a while.
Yeah, great to be on here. This is probably my 4th time being on here, so I'm going to call myself a reoccurring guest.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. You
Always
helped me out there in House of the Dragon a lot.
That's right.
Which this summer we'll have what is it? Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
I'm down for that. Anytime movie for that, I'm in.
It's good to talk to you again, though, bud.
As always.
So like I said, we're gonna be talking Surviving Barstool, which for me personally is scratching an itch that I haven't had scratched in a long time. I've been a huge Survivor fan. It's basically been like appointment television for me for the majority of my life until COVID happened and Jeff Probst went super woke and kind of just ruined the show. So like I said, it's been a few years since I've had anything like this, and you mix in the fact that you have Kirk and you have these other Barstool personalities, and it's like a fucking overdose. Like it's so great. I'm just so excited to talk about theories, strategies, and all that shit. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season for having the new personalities involved with it. You get the main stars, but then you get people like Gilly, who some people love, some people hate. Like there's been controversy. Like I just think it's been very, 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 very well done so far. So I'm excited.
Yeah, when I first heard there was going to be 24 people, I was like, oh, is that going to be too many? Like, I wasn't sure what to think, but so far it couldn't have gone any better the first, whatever it is, 6 episodes. And I think the most recent one was easily my favorite, and I'm sure we'll get into it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Steve?
Yeah. So I've enjoyed it a great ton. My one thing, and I think we've kind of touched on it, you've had 24 people on here. And I feel like Dave went for the biggest and best names, and you had a couple people that maybe didn't understand the game or maybe didn't even want to play in the game. So that was kind of interesting, but I feel like now 6 episodes in, we've kind of gone through those people, and now you've got the guys that really, and the girls that really want to play this game and win this game.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
Yeah. All the girls that started still in the game.
Yeah.
That's big. So were you guys, just before we start getting into the episode and stuff, because that's what we're going to kind of do, you guys regular Survivor fans, or were you regular Survivor fans, or still, or are you guys just kind of in here for Surviving Barstool?
What nights was Survivor on growing up, like for people our age?
Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, for some reason I thought maybe it was around like after football sometimes, so I'm wrong there. But no, I never watched it growing up like consistently. Like if it was on or something like that, I'd check it out. Or I remember my parents got into one season where some guy had some big controversial things. So I don't know anything about the show, but the Surviving Barstool I've been completely into.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I'll jump in real quick. Mick, you might be thinking of season 1 with Richard Hatch, who wore his birthday suit the first season.
What year was that, roughly?
That must have been 2000, roughly, probably.
Yeah, right around the millennium.
Yeah. So I remember watching that with my parents too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what got me into Survivor was that first season. And I kind of missed a little bit in the middle. Started rewatching the last couple of years because I introduced my wife to like the show, and it was really good. And then all of a sudden, Jeff Probst got really woke, and things changed. But
what happened with that guy? I don't even really know. I'm not familiar with his turn. What did he just? He can't do the show anymore? It's that bad?
Like it was just, first of all, they very much, you could tell there was a noticeable change in the casting. Like they very much went, which obviously if you want to, mix in whoever, but it's like, it's supposed to be a mixed match. And they very much started like, you could consciously see that they were very much accounting for people that had not been included so much less.
A lot of blue hair. Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
All right.
And then like a huge thing is the biggest sign right out of the gate was forever. Every single challenge. Hey guys, welcome on in. Hey guys, welcome on in.
Come on in, guys.
Exactly.
Oh
for
no.
30 years.
Oh.
And then Jeff Woody was just like, from now on, not going to say, come on in, guys. Like, no more of that.
He literally pulled the people standing there. He said, "Is it okay for me to say, come on in, guys?" And they're like, "No, it's not." And he's like, "Okay, I'll change it."
Jesus Christ.
And you don't get the vibe that this was something pressured on him. You think like he invited this almost onto
It
himself.
felt that way, at least
Yeah.
for me. Steve?
I don't know. It was one of those things like you could, I think Cinema kind of alluded to it. Like you felt it kind of coming in the season. And then when all that happened, it just was like a tsunami and everything changed at that point. But
Especially the show had been so successful for, at that point, it was like 37 seasons or 38 seasons, something like that. You know, Jeff Probst had a ton of touch over everything as far as not just the cast, but the entire show, the vibe of the show and all of that. So if they were pushing that hard, he had to have been somewhat okay, not just okay with it, but probably pushing it himself too.
Yeah, good point.
We're going to start off with the first 3 episodes from last week. We're going to kind of spend less time on those and more on this week's episodes. But there were a couple of big things that I wanted to point out from like a Survivor standpoint, like I said, especially in the first episode. Steve, I'm sure you'll be able to pick up on this, but right away, as soon as the tribes were pulled out and Kirk was on the tribe with 2 females as opposed to just 1, I thought that was a huge opportunity to an alliance, to make a big alliance pact right there, because you know that those 2 girls are naturally going to be a pact. The chances of them going against one another are so slim. So when you align with one of them, you're not aligning with one of them, you're aligning with 2 of them.
Right.
And as you know, Kirk and Kelly Keegs' alliance is not alliance, but their relationship's a little rocky. So right there, you don't really expect them to be working together. So for me personally, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. And like I said, Steve, Russell Hantz was the first guy that came to mind.
Yeah.
You're able to get 2 females that are well-liked, that everyone seems, they're the nice girls, and you're able to just skate on through and do all the power moves and all the politicking. So for you 2 that don't know, Russell Hantz, first 2 seasons he was on Survivor, went to the final 3 both times. Basically doing kind of what I just said, is taking like 2 girls that were very like, nice, kind,
middle of the road, like
right. People that you don't really like, you have a hard time going against, because you almost like not feel bad for them, but it's like, oh, they're so sweet, like I don't want to eliminate them.
Right.
And he would take these girls under his wing, and he wouldn't just like use them. He would really like, he was great at finding idols. He would play idols for them, always in the perfect situations that would get them the the vote that they needed to get. And right away I was like, this is an opportunity for Kirk to kind of do that same sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. He and I think him and Kelly, as we progress throughout the show, you see like that they're definitely doing a little politicking with each other. And I think Kelly is nervous to trust him more than Kirk's nervous to trust Kelly. I think Kelly's really on edge about everything. So I think you're right. I think establishing the relationship with the girls early is a really good move.
True. I like I don't know if you want to call it an alliance, but the alliance between Kirk and Kelly. Like, I feel like there's definitely something there. And it's almost like in another world, these 2 could have been friends. Like, it's like it, but I think them going through all the shit that they did outside of the show, I actually think it makes the relationship a little bit stronger.
You can tell Kirk really wants to win this game, because I feel like we'll probably talk about it more later, but he's playing a very, I don't want to say submissive game, but I don't think he's trying to rock the boat too much. And I think he wants to work with anybody that wants to work with him. And I don't think he wants to step too far out and shake things up too bad. So I think he's at the point right now where if anybody wants to play with him, he's going to be loyal. Like we saw how loyal he was in week 1, which I think gave him a ton of credibility. I think people came out of that first week and it's like Kirk was looking really good because he told everybody, I'm not voting for Jerry. He didn't vote for Jerry. And then now his teammates going forward can say, okay, if Kirk says to me he's not going to vote for me, I know he's not going to vote for me. So Kirk is playing a very strategic game, and I don't even know if it's female or male related, but I think he's playing a very calm and collected game right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Which is he hinted on his show that he was very much playing the long game the whole way from this. Like that was his move. And I do feel that, it's edits and all that, but it feels like he is playing almost week to week. Like he is just trying to go from one elimination to the next. So there might be a little bit more that he's doing behind closed doors that we might not be seeing.
Well, if you remember, he was the one pushing against Mincy getting eliminated. Like he wanted Mincy to get eliminated down the road. So I think he was kind of playing the long game definitely with that. But it's probably tough to play the long game when you have alliances with other people, because they're going to want to they're trying to save themselves week to week. And, you kind of have to go by what they want if you want to stay without an alliance. Excuse me.
Well, plus in the beginning, there's so much unknown that the first few weeks or the first few episodes, you kind of have to play week to week, right? Because you don't really know what surprises or turns are going to happen as far as the teams and the games and everything. So I do think you are just survive in advance, at least in the beginning, before you start doing anything else.
I would agree.
And that shakeup when they merge into two really changed everything, because even Kirk said like him and Roan were really tight. All of a sudden he lost Roan, and I think he just kind of scrambled to be like, all right, how do we keep going? That whole Mincy decision, I feel like, goes back to nobody really wanted to make a big move. Like everybody was saying, oh, we should go get Megan or we should go get Kelly. But they settled on Mincy. And I think a lot of that was because nobody wanted to be that person that was like, I'm going to step out. I'm going to be the guy that takes the ball and takes a big shot.
Right.
And they were just like, well, we can all kind of settle on Mincy. And it's kind of curious. I feel like they all kind of settled on that. And I don't think we're going to see that in the future. I think that might be the last time we see them settling on, getting rid of somebody like Mincy.
Are you guys surprised that Kirk didn't step up or at least put his foot down on that decision? Because he clearly didn't want to vote.
I think that's him just being trying to play a smart game. I don't think he wants to stick his neck out too far too early. And I think even though we know he wanted to get either Megan or Kelly, I think he should have gone after Kelly. I would make an argument he could go after Megan too, but obviously we know he didn't want to go after Mincy. And I think a lot of that was just he didn't want to be the guy where everyone's like, oh yeah, this was Kirk's idea.
Right.
We did it because of Kirk. He's just kind of stepping back and being like, well, I'm going to go with the team, which I think you had a whole team that said the same thing, and that's how they landed on Mincy.
Yeah, I think he was willing to, and we keep saying play the long game, but would you rather have Mincy in it going forward, knowing you can eliminate him, or have 6 of your teammates happy with you? And I think he made that decision, like, all right, I'm not going to screw the team over, or I'm not going to ruffle feathers, kind of like you put it. So, I think he, I think he's got a shot to win this thing. Originally, the first episode, I didn't know, just because there's so many people. I thought maybe Biz and Francis, especially Francis, because he had the idol. That's always going to be an advantage going forward. But
that's one of the other things from episode 1 that I had. That was until he ended up blowing it, which sucked. I couldn't believe he did that. But
you're telling everybody.
That first episode was perfect because you get the idol, nobody knows about it, and then you come off as trustworthy and a team guy when you tell everybody else about the second one. It was perfection.
He had the perfect game plan there. Like when he got the idols back to back, or he found the keys back to back, it was like, man, he's going to play this great. And it's really funny because you had Caleb and Francis in that first episode. Francis acts dumb, plays smart. Caleb acted dumb and played dumb. And it was just so funny to see it, because even at the end of it, when Caleb got voted out of there, it was like, I think Caleb stood back and was like, oh, I really screwed up. Like maybe I should have tried more or done something different. And then you got Francis, who looks like he's playing a perfect game. And then all of a sudden he's just like, by the way, everybody, I have an idol. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. That when I knew I was going to come on the show, the first note that I wrote down was, I love how Francis is playing the game. But then obviously, like you guys just laid out, it took a turn. Like that first episode, I'm in a pool with a couple buddies and I have Francis in my pool, and I was so excited. I'm like, this kid is playing the game exactly how it should be played. I love the moves he's making. And now I'm watching it going like, what are you doing? Like what? It's just eating at him. Like he's just one of these people that he just can't keep it inside.
And you would honestly think that it was like scripted, the fact that he was doing that, and then, there wasn't money on the line, but like, no, there's literal money on the line, and he still can't help himself. He's running up to Big Cat and being like, I have an idol, or what, whatever. He's something else. I feel like that was his one advantage, to keep that silent, especially going forward. Like, what the hell are you doing telling people that?
There must be advantages.
Television.
Well, in cinema, I kind of want to ask you this. So as someone who is currently watching Survivor and a big Survivor fan, obviously there's advantages to telling someone or a couple people maybe you have an idol right? Like that.
Yeah.
That's got to be a play.
Absolutely. Which I kind of like the guy that I already mentioned is Russell Hantz. He's the perfect kind of guy who he did that. Like he always shared it with the right people that you know already are under your umbrella and you can manipulate. And it's a sign of good faith. It's a sign of goodwill. It's like, hey, you're not playing this game under me. We're playing this game together. But in reality, I'm the one that's getting the advantage. I'm just, letting you in on it.
Yeah, that's a great point, because like when he told Dave, it was like he had no reason to tell Dave. And I feel like people are playing this game like with kid gloves with Portnoy. Like they want to be like really nice to him. They don't want to.
They're sucking up to him. Though.
They really are. Like Clemmer was like, I'm not gonna backstab Portnoy, and Clemmer knows this game better than anybody. So
there's nobody better to bring to the finish line than Dave Portnoy. That's the whole point, at least to me.
Which is true, but I don't know.
Elaborate on that. Because of outside Survivor consequences, or
I just don't I don't see a world where Dave goes to the final 3 and the rest of the jury is like, yeah, we're giving the money to Dave, unless of course he does something like at the I shouldn't really say that, because if Dave does something that's wildly, like if he's able to manipulate and pull off a couple of big moves and he is able to get to the final like that, then all bets are off. He could win. But I think for the most part, the highest percentage, if he gets there, people will be like, we're not going to give fucking Dave the money. It's his company. He's the one that's paying the money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
He's not playing a terrible game, though.
No, definitely not.
No, he's not playing a bad game. I think Rhea is the kingmaker on that team, and I think he's going to Rhea for everything, which is interesting.
I think he's allowing that, though. I think he's letting Rhea think that she's, you know what I mean? Sure. I think he's like, let her think she's in control and, use her for right now, the advantage, but I think he can control her at any point.
I think you're right, Cinema. Like, if he gets to the final 3, he could potentially win with some amazing moves, but he'd have to have the most amazing moves in the history of not only Barstool or Surviving Barstool, but also the game of Survivor. Because unlike the actual show Survivor, you don't know where these people come from or what their occupations are.
It's a good point.
There's a lot of people on that island that lie about what they do. They're actually a lawyer, but they tell people that they're a school teacher because they know that's going to help them in the end.
Makes sense.
But like coming into this show, everybody knows everybody's net worth.
Right.
And the odds of Dave Portnoy winning this game are incredibly slim. I still don't know. I think the less people you tell in Francis' situation, the better. And like you said, the people closest to you to keep your numbers, you tell them. But if they're not going to vote with you on a marginal week, don't tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One quick take on Rhea. You guys are right. She so far she is probably the kingmaker. She's kind of the one that's, she's going back and forth between both teams. She's like one of the only people that's like really doing that. But what I think is kind of funny is, have you noticed she is the most has the worst poker face of all time? Like, I get she's having good conversations with people, but she looks so shady every time she's having one of these conversations. She'll be like, hey, so I think I was talking to Will. Like if you walk by, you're like, all right, she's fucking scheming something.
She also got the funniest confessionals where I feel like she really plays up the reality TV where she's like, I don't know where the idols are, and it's just all right, relax a little bit here. Like we get what you're doing. But no,
you can tell she watches that shit.
That's what I mean. Yeah, she's playing it up really good for the camera.
Rhea's funny too, and Cinema, you know about this. Like in previous Survivor seasons, Real Survivor, what's it called? The winner's cut, where
the $1,000 winner.
Well, in terms of how they actually edit a show.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You can kind of watch a show and see oh, this person's playing well, but we're not seeing a lot of them. So you kind of know later in the season
they're going
to come into play more. I feel like that's a Rhea. I feel like Rhea is going to be a player till the end because we're not seeing a lot of Rhea. We're seeing a little bit of her, but she's playing.
If that's the case, same thing with Roan then.
I agree. That's my 2 is Rhea and Roan, because I think Roan's playing a great game. We're seeing very little of Roan. So I think if DraftKings opened it up right now, I'd put money on Rhea or Roan right now just to be in the final 3, because I think they're going to be there toward the end. I think
Roan's a great fucking pick.
I think Rico too. Rico's playing great.
Yep. He is. Him and Dave, we're just going back to the last episode. It sounds like that alliance could be gone. So he might have to figure out something.
That joust throw was, I laughed out loud.
He had to do it. There was no other choice. He just
that was
had
a perfect matchup. That was great.
Yeah.
That was a big blackout Will Ferrell, like old school moment. Like when he threw the jab, he was just like, he's flexing. I fucking lost it for a second there.
The only downside, I wish they had a camera from like Dave's perspective, because like he did the flex and everything and you didn't see it. You just saw it from the back. Right. But I was like, that was the moment of the day. Like that could have been amazing if we got that angle of like Rico's face on that.
Also, classic Rico when he fucking goes up to Kelly and he's like, he was trying to tell her like in the most like nonchalant way, like, listen, if we lose this game, it's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah. It was just classic Rico the way he
what
brought
are you
it up.
trying to tell me? Like, what are you?
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I'm just
never
saying,
throw challenges.
Do you guys
never throw challenges?
I'm curious. Do you watch this on your TV or do you have it on your phone, your laptop? This is probably the only Barstool program that I'll put on the TV. Like I watch this like it's a real TV show.
Yep. Really? Like you guys just like watch shit on your laptop, like regularly?
Yeah, my phone. Usually my phone. Yeah, usually my phone.
You watch stuff on like on a little fucking like this size screen.
Not like a movie or like a game, but like a podcast. Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
So
just on YouTube, or usually my laptop.
Maybe I'm just old school.
Yeah. I throw it on the TV because I'm trying to get my wife into it.
There you go.
She's a fan of Survivor. So like I'm like, hey, try this. So she knows Kirk, she knows a couple other people, but she's for the most part, she's like, I don't really know these people. But like we're watching on the TV and I'm like, I think as the episodes progress, she's getting more and more into it and she's understanding people better. She's like, who's this weirdo Rico? Which is the funniest thing. Like she even knows from the get-go, she's like, this guy's weird. And she doesn't know why he's weird, but he's just weird.
Which, Steve, by the way, based on all the other characters, her choosing Rico as the weird one is kind of wild.
And I tweeted this last night, but she legit says to me last night, like we're watching, she goes, why does he blink so much? And I'm like, that's legit. It's been like an inside joke for a month now about his blinking. And she picked up, I didn't see it, but she saw it.
My question is, why are Mincy's shirts so small?
Oh,
get the man a bigger shirt.
No, help him put on a sweatshirt for God's sake.
I thought he traded with Megan. I thought they like got the wrong like t-shirt pack because hers was baggy and they were wearing the same shirt and his was way too tight. So
Megan's sneaky playing a pretty good game too. I think she's shown that alliance is tight. Like they could have voted her off immediately once they found out that she lost a vote. I think in episode 2, she lost her vote from the idol. And that to me is, I don't know how big of a deal that seems to you guys, but I feel like if you lose a vote, you're pretty much fucked if everybody else knows, or I don't know, like you're kind of useless to everybody else at that point. So like, why
definitely don't let people know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it depends on where you are in the game too. Like so many people lost their vote so early that it didn't really matter. But when you lose your vote and there's only 4 or 5 people voting, that could change everything.
Yeah.
So I think Megan's been pretty good. I think she's been very emotional. Like she's been running around like very emotional. I think what the play for when they voted Mincy out would have been go to the team and say, or go to Megan and say, hey, we're going to keep you. We know you struggled, but we know how valuable you are.
Right.
We're going to vote out Kelly, and hopefully you try to pull Megan off of Big Cat's side because I feel like Megan is team Big Cat through and through. But if you go in and say, hey, we could easily vote you out, but we're not going to, you might be able to pull Megan to like team Kirk, Will, Taylor, those guys.
All right. So we've talked about episode 5 a lot, which is one of my biggest points in this whole thing. We're kind of jumping around, but it doesn't matter. To me, Kirk knows that voting out Mincy was a mistake. He acknowledges very quickly in episode 6, and he kind of voices it a little bit in episode 5 too. To me, this is a prime move to take the girls, take Mincy, take Rico, and you vote out Taylor because you know we're working very tight with Will. And after the vote, you go to Will and you say, hey, we didn't have the numbers. They wanted to vote you out, and I was able to convince them to vote Taylor out instead of you. So now you avoid Will being mad at you. You guys are still aligned perfectly. You still got the girls. Mincy's in Megan's pocket. Kirk is, without actually acting like he's in control of the game, is in complete control of his entire side of the merge.
Right.
And he already knows we got some alliances, which again, this all goes off of fucking edits. We can only see so much out of the thousands of hours of footage. But to me, like I said, as a Survivor fan, I that was a huge missed opportunity by Kirk, at least in my opinion.
From what I've seen, Taylor is the move. Two big reasons jump out at me. One, he can obviously be a threat, physically, athletically, and he's good friends with Will. He's probably going to have some other connections with Big Cat, whatever that you can worry about down the line. The other thing I think is his he's got no like real trust level for me. I feel like he kind of runs around trying to act like he's got these alliances, but it doesn't really seem genuine. And for those reasons, I would vote him out.
Well, he was. I mean, he was pretty influential in the conversation between Kirk, Will, and himself. Like, if you remember when they would
bathroom.
show the bathroom, yeah, when they would show that footage, like it sounded like Taylor was the one really pushing for Mincy,
But almost desperately though.
That's what I mean. It almost he almost felt threatened himself, and it was like, you're not going to get voted off here no matter what, unless he played the move like Cinema said. But he was safe there no matter what when he had Kirk and Will on his side. But he was adamant that it was Mincy, which makes me think, is he really that strong with maybe someone like Kelly or someone? Yeah, I don't really know.
Another element, I think they know exactly when all the merges are going to happen, which in Real Survivor they don't. So they assume they might.
That's true. That's a massive switch up.
Yeah. So in regular Survivor, they think certain merges are going to happen at certain times, but it might not actually happen. They were talking about a merge going into this one very early. Like they knew it was coming.
Right.
So I wonder if they know they can hold Taylor until the very end of the last merge. Mm-hmm. Because once it gets down to or not a merge, but everyone's together. Like, do you want to just hold Taylor then and just get rid of him before everybody goes individual? Because that might be the play. Because if you get another, as much as he has not performed well, I mean, he's had more penalties than anybody else probably in that game. Mm-hmm. You kind of want to hold on to him until it's a free for all. Because if it goes to a free for all, he could win the thing just physically. So,
right.
Comparing it to regular Survivor, are you guys surprised that a big whale hasn't been kicked off yet, or not?
Yes, really? Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think
Which
this
goes
is
to what I was saying about Taylor.
Yeah, I think this is the week where we see big names drop because you got to start making moves soon.
Yeah, but if you remember, I mean, Portnoy and Big Cat have that alliance. So I mean, in the bigger names have started to kind of form an alliance together. So I think other people have started to realize that, and it's going to be hard to vote one of them off, without getting all the rest of them on board. But I don't know. Like Clemmer going this week was very stunning. That was the first one where I was kind of surprised. Like it did seem like, by the way the edits were, at least portrayed, it seemed like he was kind of playing a pretty good game, and it seemed like people were on his side. I know he felt like he might have been more in control, but he was getting along with everybody, and it seemed like he was kind of gonna. I thought Clemmer was going to be in it till the end, but that was
very standard bring along guy.
Yeah,
just vote for us, vote for us, vote for us.
Yeah,
but then it's as soon as we don't need you and we have to trim some fat somewhere, it's like, all right, it's time for you to go, Bile. See you later.
And he did cry.
Yeah,
I thought that might have been itch to the nose, but some people are, questioning it.
The only problem with Clemmer's game is he almost strategized too much, and I think that is a problem for some people. Like if you feel other guys are playing the game too much, that's when you almost get a little itchy and you're like, let's get rid of this guy. Because obviously the Pizza 4 thing came up a bunch, and I could see that be part of the reason why they wanted to get rid of Clemmer now. Is like he's overplaying the game right now. Like you have to, like Kirk's playing it very subtle. He's very sitting back in the shadows, where Clemmer was like very active, and people get antsy in those situations, and you kind of have to get rid of a guy like that. So,
but when you're not a big dog though, you probably have to try to put yourself out there a little more
to some extent. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think he came across pretty likable though. I was trying to put myself in the shoes of like a non-Minute fan who's just kind of watching Clemmer, and I'm like, it came across okay.
He had that scene with Taylor in the hallway where he was like, "Yeah, you could have buried me," and Taylor, "Hey, you beat me, man." Like you can always say that, which I thought was pretty funny.
I left hard because Clemmer's like, "Oh, I played with you in Madden," and I'm like,
"Yeah."
That's the most.
Taylor seemed like he initiated that conversation, which was cool. Like at least again, it's edits, but it seemed like Taylor was the one that initiated that conversation, which makes him seem like a very cool, like.
Yeah, he seems pretty laid back. I don't listen to bussing, but he seems like a pretty good dude.
Yeah. So we basically kind of went through fucking episode 5 already, but that was, like I said, a big episode for Kirk, and kind of going forward, I think Kirk's in a great fucking spot. I really do. It's not like just as a Minute fan. If I was him, I would do exactly what I already said. I would stick with the girls, and I would probably try to bring Rico with me. I think the chances of Rico flipping on Kirk, if Kirk was like, yo, like Rico, like it's fucking me and you, I think the chances of Rico flipping on Kirk are like close to 0.
Right. Especially with now that because of that challenge, Dave and Rico might not be as strong.
That's true.
It's a really good point.
Who do you think Rico's more aligned with, Dave or Kirk? Like if you
I'd say Kirk.
You think so? I don't know.
would.
I would have said Dave before the incident.
Yeah, I don't know.
The incident.
I feel like Kirk is close with a lot of people, but isn't like super close with anyone. Like he's close, very close with Will, but like Taylor's probably should be closer with Will. He might be closer with Roan than anybody else, but that might be.
It almost seemed like Kirk chose Roan.
Yeah,
like he picked him to be the one that he was gonna.
Well, he's kind of. I feel like Roan. I think it's a strategic pick, if so, because
sure,
Roan's not Big Cat. He's not Port. No, he's kind of like outside of the Barstool realm. He does his own thing. He does the pop punk and stuff. But I feel like his podcast with Pat Bev, and he's a little bit different than most of the guys at Barstool. I feel like, maybe that would be a good thing to try to get him on your team. Like, hey, look, man, these guys are going to screw you over. Like, they're going to play the game better than you. Or I don't know. I just feel like Roan's the type of guy that he's not buddy with everybody. Almost like Whitney too. Like he doesn't know everybody at the company. So might be a good guy to get on your team early.
Roan was definitely like a bigger thing when like the New York office was popping and everybody was in there day in and day out. Yeah. I feel like Roan's a very good like collaborator. Like he's very good at working with other people and doing whether it's just like a spot video or you know what I mean, like this and that real quick. I feel like he's very good at that.
In classic Survivor, Roan would be the guy that like never won a challenge, but never like got his ass kicked in a challenge, and then you'd be really scared to be next to him in the final three.
Definitely,
because probably everybody really likes him, and he'd probably get a lot of votes.
Yep. You can't have Roan has a little bit of like the Robbie Fox factor. It's like the same thing. It's like you can't go to a final with a guy like that because he's so fucking nice and everybody likes him, and no one's gonna like. Mm-hmm. It's tough.
It's funny you bring up Robbie because I think in the chat you mentioned you wanted to talk about episode 1. So I rewatched it this afternoon, and I almost forgot that Robbie was even in it. Like I feel like we've gone so far from that time. Like we haven't, but to me it feels like we have him and Wallow.
Yeah.
Dude, I forgot these guys were even in the show.
Yeah, at least Robbie tried to play a little bit. Like he kind of got lied to more than anything. Wallow was just like, I feel like he's never watched Survivor and never heard of it and didn't even know what was going on. He went and took a shower right away. Like, what are you doing?
Steve will tell you that's probably like the number one rule probably of Survivor is like if you lose a challenge, like you don't literally go anywhere. Like,
right.
Honestly, even sometimes you win a challenge and like you go wandering off, like it's like, hey, next time we got to vote. Like this guy's off by himself. Like
you can see
Kelly would not go anywhere alone.
Kelly was freaking out. Remember in the last episode when she couldn't find Kirk and everybody literally around the office and they made it a huge deal. So you're right. Like you kind of have to be with your team or else you pretty much know you got the target on your back.
Yep.
Yeah. That's Survivor 101. Don't leave after you lose a challenge until everybody else is leaving.
Yep.
Or you're so desperate you have to go find an idol and you pull somebody with you to go find an idol usually. But Wallow, so that leads me to Gilly. I find that 4 episodes of Gilly was perfect.
Right.
I agree.
5 or 6 episodes of Gilly, I would be exasted. But
I found him to be so annoying. Like I get the funny-ish factor, but to your point, I don't know how much more I could have taken.
The dancing, it was great dancing, but I got tired of it after a few. So
I thought
it was so many times that he absolutely cracked me the fuck up.
Yes.
When actually there was one time at Tribal where Kirk was just like look at this guy, like he's a fucking mastermind, and he just looks at the camera like in the perfect way, just gives it the look, and it's like this guy gets it. Like he might be like playing a role and he's high as shit, but it's like at the end of the day he very much gets it. It was with the Bizanet thing, actually. Again, at Tribal, Kirk was just like, Biz was like, you got a blowjob? And Kirk was like, no, like, I'm thinking about sucking, like, blowing you. And the whole time, Gil was just like, oh, shit. Oh. Like, he gets the joke.
Right. No, he's funny. I think you're right. 4 episodes was just enough. Like, it was plenty because it got a little too much, but when he like celebrated right in Jersey Jerry's face when Jerry, you could tell Jerry wanted to punch him directly in the jaw. It was hysterical.
He was laying on his head too, Mick. Before I don't know if you remember that.
Zero empathy at all.
Yeah, before the votes came out, he had his arm, like he hugged the girls, and then he had his arm around Jerry.
Right,
and he was just like laying his head on it. He was just like
gone. Like he was convinced he was going home. He thought he was done. The suitcase was packed.
Gilly and Caleb, I feel like, played very similar games where they both played like they had no idea what the game was. They had no idea, like they didn't care if they won or not. And then right toward the end, when they thought they were on the chopping block, Caleb was like, oh shit, I should have played a better game. I really screwed up. And Gilly was like, oh crap, if I get back here, like I'm gonna try harder. The only difference is Caleb just went home. Gilly got second life. But like when Gilly freaked out and he's like, next year, it's not on who your friends are.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's kind of how Survivor works. Like,
that is the game. Yeah.
It's funny how neither of them cared at all until the very end, and neither of them wanted to go home.
I know
Caleb ended up going home. Like Caleb was almost. If I were to bet before the series started, I would have put money on Caleb to win because I feel like he's a smart guy and he can win this thing. And all of a sudden, he's the first guy off.
He looked legit hurt.
Caleb was, shrooming out or something.
I
don't think he was chewing anything, but
he had to be on something.
The weirdest thing.
Sure. And he also is rumored to be leaving the company, I think. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Maybe he just was like, I'm sick of this bullshit. I'm leaving after New Year's anyways. Like, just get me home.
That part I don't think. At least for me, again, personally, based off of edits and just my take on it, it felt like because I think he's leaving too, but it felt like he was, at least in my opinion, I don't know. They kept saying he was checked out, but I was like, I don't know, man. Like his reaction after he got voted out seemed bad. And he is like a weird, flaky kind of guy. It just seemed, I don't know, like if you guys went to any like high school, like I went to some kids that like, did some acid, and this seemed like he just did like a little extra acid, like a little too much.
Someone said this on Kirk's show. It was something along the lines of like, I feel like he always thinks he's in character with a like Sunday conversation. That's exactly what it feels like. Like I have no idea when he's actually serious or not. It's tough to tell with that guy.
He plays an idiot, but he's a smart guy.
Right.
And then in this game, he was playing an idiot, and you're like, oh, he's gonna pull a fast one. Then he didn't. He just stayed playing an idiot, and it was shocking.
Well, I don't know if he was playing an idiot.
Maybe you're saying
he didn't care.
No, well, yeah,
it was weird.
I don't know if he was checked out. My theory is that he didn't realize how serious everyone else was taking it, and maybe he thought the show was more of like a production. Like more of a
Cat season 1, or not season 1, but
not a scripted show, but he thought it was more tongue in cheek, where everyone else is taking it like cutthroat, and I think he kind of got caught up in that. That's my theory, anyway.
Yeah. It's like I said, Big Cat season 3 last season when he's like watching football and on Sunday instead of like playing the game, he's like, oh shit, like this is just kind of like for content, yada yada yada.
Yeah,
which obviously now Big Cat is all the way in, man. Talking about crazy eyes, dude. Big Cat's eyes are always wide open every time you see him in the show.
For sure.
I appreciate that he's really into it.
Kirk was kind of the same way too, though. Like Kirk went into it like, all right, I'll play this game. But as soon as he was eliminated last year, he was like, oh fuck, this sucks. I want to win this game. And I think he's got a whole new fire under him. And obviously Big Cat does too. Like you see him, like you just said, Cinema, like his eyes, he's thinking the entire game. He is not taking any moments off. It doesn't help that his name's Big Cat. I don't think he can win this thing because of that. But he's playing a much better game. And I think because he saw his opportunity last year just go away and he enjoyed playing the game. So
I actually don't love I like that he's into it, but I don't love his strategy right now. Every time he looks at the camera, he's like, I want to get all the meet all the big names, meet all the like important people. I kind of want to stick together. I feel like you need some of these second tier people with you. You can like kind of string them along. They can kind of play. You can play them. You can use them to talk to the other team.
He had Jerry. He did have Jerry.
Yeah, but even Jerry's kind of a big name though.
All right. Well, he has Megan too.
True.
But I know what you mean though. Every single time he gets on the camera, it's like, well, me and Dave have an alliance till the last, till the final, whatever. Like it's like, yeah, we get it. The rich guys are going to stick together. But I think more than anything, the money's on the line, and I think these guys all want to win the money. Like there's no doubt about that. I think there's some ego in it too. I think everybody's looking around like stay in this office. We're all sitting here for 5 days or whatever it ended up being. Like you definitely just want to win. You can tell like the athletes get a little competitive through the challenge. It's going to ramp up even more. And I think the money's one thing, but like for Big Cat, he doesn't need $250K, but I think he just wants to win.
Most of these people that are left, Mick.
Yeah, but I don't think that's true, Cinema. I think like $250,000 might not be like completely life-changing money, but like you got a pretty good chunk of change there if you win. And I think other than Portnoy and maybe Big Cat, like that's
you get 2 NHLers, 2 NFLers.
Yeah, but you think Will Compton made a ton of money playing football? Like a ton, he probably made but like
he's not buying like a fucking $10 mansion, but I don't think Will Compton's struggling.
No, but 250K is 250K.
There's
For
reason,
sure.
there's reason he does a podcast every day still. Like, you know what I mean? He's still working to make money. Like, there's guys that still need it. The only guy who probably doesn't need to work anymore is Big Cat in Portnoy.
This is a complete matter of judgment, but do you think personally that if, say, like Will Compton wins, do you think it matters more to Will to win that money or to win like the pride over the office?
Pride, I guess.
Pride. He's a pride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and he already won. So, I mean,
Right.
it's easy for him, right?
That's true.
That's another guy that like he could easily be voted out next week because like he won last year. He's a threat.
Mhm.
Like I could see his team just being like, we gotta get rid of this guy.
Whitney and Bizanet are part of the biggest hockey podcasts on the planet. You got the fucking Pink Whitney line going on.
Mhm.
Will and Luan was one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Like he was definitely making decent money. Then Dave, you got Big Cat. Like a lot of these guys, like they have money. Like it's gonna come down to pride and who the fuck wants it the most. I think I really do.
And they just like competing. Like one of you guys said it. Like
Sure.
as soon as these games come up, like you just see it come out of them.
Yeah.
Did
And
you
on camera too? Like Whitney said it immediately when he hit Kirk. He was like, all I could think about was the Minifans in my mentions just chilling. like that's exactly what it is. Like you're on camera competing against people, and you know if it goes wrong, you're gonna be the viral person who. You know,
I gotta say something about that. Being such Kirk guys, like seeing Kirk get hit like that was rough, dude. It was like seeing your dad cry for the first time.
It didn't feel good.
I think Kirk took it better than anybody.
Yeah.
he reacted
right on the face. He
perfectly,
wasn't
though.
complaining about a concussion or a headache afterwards. I mean, Big Cat got smoked, but he was afterwards. He was like, "Oh fuck, I'm rattled."
Right. Those things gotta weigh like a pretty good weight too. Like they're not like flimsy. You could tell like in the replays when
Their
hit someone,
fists are right behind where
that's
they hit.
what I
too.
mean. Like
Yeah.
the necks were snapping back. Like it wasn't like it was like a pillow. Like that did not feel good.
That shot Big Cat took was good. That first one,
it
like
was.
you could see it. But did you see Biz's face when he was up there? That's a guy that like he has fought in the NHL. And there'd be brown shit going down my leg if I was standing across from Bizanet when he's holding that because he is
a sneaky contender too. I
Yes,
think
he
he's
is.
got a chance to run away with this thing.
He was my favorite to win. I think he was my pick to win it all.
Oh, okay. So speaking of
But he's
Biz
never
challenges, one of the most frustrating things is attack and defend, right? So he is throwing for I don't know, Keen, Gilly, Wonka, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
The way they edited it was he never had a single shot in the first half, right? They were down 5-0 in half. They never showed a single shot by Biz. Then at halftime, Megan's like, I'm going to shoot. Like you put your best athlete at shooter and he never even had a chance to throw the ball. Like that was such a frustrating thing to watch because like I feel like Biz would be great at that shot. And then all of a sudden there was no leadership on that team. All of a sudden Megan takes that spot and Biz is like your best bet and he just doesn't do anything. Doesn't even get a throw off.
The only thing I can think of is maybe they were having trouble getting balls to the shooter. And they're like, maybe Biz can help us here in the hallway. Maybe, but I think Biz would have been better off shooting than Megan. I think we all can do that now.
Well, hearing Kirk talk about it now on the show, he's kind of making it seem like things were just so chaotic at that moment that they were kind of, when she said it, they're like, all right, go ahead, just go do it.
Right. And I think her doing that was her trying to probably win some favor over with the team. Like, because if she had a good performance there, it's like, yeah, Megan was calling the ball and she ended up getting us back in the game, but it did not go well for her.
It was a high risk, high reward move for her, and she totally fell on her.
She should have fucking threw it underhand. Softball.
Should have, yeah. She's a softball pitcher. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? That she is? Oh,
they said she played softball, but that doesn't mean she pitched, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't know she pitched.
Right. I got you.
Steve, her listening in to the confessionals, Tony Spy Shack.
Interesting there. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was a wild thing because Francis is like, somebody listening, they're like, no, you're good. And all of a sudden it's like Megan's just like, oh, yeah, I heard the whole thing. That's kind of wild. I feel like they need to fix that in the future, but
do you think that should be allowed? Like it's kind of cheap.
I feel like some things need to be sacred in that game. Like I understand even
they
in
talked
Survivor,
about searching bags. Like even in Survivor, you can do that. But there's no way in like the real game of Survivor, like you can hear somebody else's confessional. Like that's just always off limits. So
yeah, but listening to a confessional isn't as bad as look at last year. They were messing with the actual challenge equipment. They were like greasing up some of the stuff. So I mean, that's definitely not as bad as that.
YouTube and answers and shit like that. Fastest way to do things.
Did we get a final answer on like the whole Francis Portnoy like idol conversation? Because I know they cut it out, but they played it during Unnamed today. Is it Jerry who told people this? Like I couldn't really get to the bottom of that. I didn't realize what he was saying.
Yeah, it still almost felt like that loop wasn't closed, even on Unnamed. I listened to it too. I still left kind of confused, and then Jerry denied it on Twitter.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Francis was kind of, at least to me, it seemed like he had told too many people too many things, and he was trying to find a way out of it. And his best way to do so was just like, someone must have went through my bag. Like, I don't know what happened.
That's a good point, because he makes it apparent to Portnoy saying, "Hey, I'm telling you this because like you're kind of the guy here. Like what's going on? Like people are searching my bag. Like it almost comes to him like he's complaining about what's going on, but really it's just him, I think, playing stupid."
But then they said on Unnamed that they changed the order in which the process went down, because they said that in reality, I think they said that he told Big Cat first and then told Dave, and then they went in and like voiced over and changed it.
Gotcha.
I wonder, because there's an actual clip of Francis pulling the idol out of a ceiling tile.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was, and I think there's another clip of him putting it in his bag. So I wonder if that was a legitimate thing, because once he figured out somebody saw it in his bag, that's when he moved it. Or did he just keep it in that ceiling tile the whole time? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he mentioned too that he was sleeping in a room separate, which I feel like if you have a bag in a separate room, then everybody's gonna go through it. Like that's kind of gives it away.
Going through someone's bag is insane, though.
Crazy, right? I mean, he I don't know how much he was playing it up for the camera, but he's like, yeah, I got medications, I got shit like that. Like, it is so true. Like, if somebody was going through like my medication bag, like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing?
Dude, they would have found your vape pen, Mick.
That's a good point. I was gonna say that's happened. This has happened to me.
I would never take that idol off of me if I had it. It would always be on me no matter what. Like, I don't know how you could just give it up at any point.
Plus, Tommy John, great pockets.
Yes. You know what they need though? Especially if you're carrying an idol, you need a zipper on one. I'm not complaining here, but you probably like a zipper pocket if you're carrying an idol.
Milton's, plenty of zipper pockets. Milton's, store for men.
They're hammering over the head, those ads. Yeah, they're doing a good job.
The lounge is the worst part.
One quick question: in regular Survivor, do they have fake idols? Is that a thing too? Because that was something that I did not see coming, where Arian Foster thought he was good. He thought he had an idol that whole time during the vote, and then ends up being a fake idol that Rome brought or something.
Yeah.
So before we continue with fake idols, real quick, Dave has mentioned it too. Like, Arian Foster has done previous stuff. He was on MTV's The Challenge. I don't know if any of you guys watched that.
I didn't know that. No, I know what it is. I didn't know that.
I used to watch The Challenge a ton, but I didn't know he was on that.
So right after, it was very shortly after he retired, was the first time that they did. It was called like the Challenge All-Stars versus like pros, and they had a couple of Olympians. They had that female runner there that had a lot of like controversy against her and shit like that. But Arian Foster was one of them. And dude, he could not have been more different on that show than he is in this.
Really?
He was such an arrogant fucking prick.
Really?
Oh, he was such an asshole, dude. He was just like so disrespectful to like his own tribe, the pros. Like, he was just such an asshole. So like when I saw him even on like the Barstool golf thing last year, whatever the fuck that was called, Ryder Cup. I saw him on that. I was like, wow. I was like, I've never watched or listened to that. What is that? Microdosing? Yeah. Macrodose. I've never listened to that. So then when I saw him on the Ryder Cup, I was like, oh wow. I was like, this is a guy that's mellowed out like big time from the last time that I saw him.
Yeah. That's interesting, because he just seems like a pretty mellow guy. I'm surprised to hear that.
Oh yeah, he was an asshole. And then like the very first episode, he was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking go in, like I'll take down any of these MTV kids." Right. First one fucking out of the show. He lost the fucking shout out Wes Bergman. Challenge All-Star. Smoked him.
Wes is a beast though.
Yeah, hey, there you go. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, that was so fucking. That was right after he retired. I don't know, early 2010s, 2013, 2012, some shit around there.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
So fake idols though. So those exist in the real Survivor, except you can't buy them and bring them with you on the island like Rome did. So usually, if there's a fake idol, it's because somebody made one on the island, and so that's which is wicked impressive, because like you don't have many things on you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Typically, that's what happens in the past is like somebody makes something out of like crap they find, and they just fool somebody and they try to use it.
Are there any like good examples where someone got duped like pretty hard?
Plenty of times.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I can't remember like specifically, but I remember, I mean, there's been times in recent seasons where like they've been stealing off of other people's like charms they get on things, and they make it and hide it in a tree, and it's no, it's insane.
You know what's a big thing though, Steve, is that usually that happens within your own tribe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Ronan determined an outcome of a vote that he wasn't even a part of. Like he was in a different room in a different area.
Right.
So that is a little bit different from what I've at least that I can remember on Survivor.
That's the other huge caveat is like if there's 3 tribes on Real Survivor, they never see each other unless they go to a challenge. They're basically on their own island. Where this, obviously, it's like you finish a challenge and you just go talk to a guy on the other team. So, like, yeah, it's a whole different element.
Yeah. And you have to imagine, at least I would think, that Roan fucking spent like an hour looking after Rico's fake one. He was like looking all over the desk and shit.
Right.
So you have to think, and he was very cool about it. He was like, "Oh man, you got me good." And you have to know it's because, like, in the back of his mind, he's like, "I put some fake ones out there myself."
Yeah.
That was also one of the saddest things when Rico took Mincy and was like, "Would that help you?"
I hated that. I love Rico, but I hated that.
So stupid.
That was tough to watch.
Mincy's like, "I don't think so. I think that's fake." And Rico's like, "Maybe you should grab it."
Yeah.
It's just like.
It was also tough too when Clemmer walked in and Mincy was like, we're gonna hang out, and Clemmer's like, I wish I was anywhere else but fucking so like a parent. He was like, get me the fuck out of here, dude.
Tell you what though, I think Dave was right though. That house with Clemmer and Mincy for one night or whatever it is would be.
They need to release the footage, dude.
Oh, yeah. So that might be better than the show itself.
Just to watch the two of them before somebody else comes in would be the wildest interactions. And you know, as soon as somebody else comes in, Clemmer's going to be like, "Oh, good, another normal person," and that person's like, "Yo, Clemmer, get the fuck away from me."
Can you imagine? It's Portnoy.
Oh, that'd be fucking great.
That'd be great.
Yeah, he'd open the door and just turn around, and walk away.
That would be fucking amazing. These we kind of hinted about it earlier, but these big dogs, you cannot have this many guys that are like this go to a final merge, because then you get to these eliminations that are going to be worth early on. Like, you don't want to get eliminated, but these challenges don't mean as much as they do once you get to the final 8 or 9 people.
Yeah,
that's life or death right there. So to go there with, say, 2 NFLers, 2 NHLers, like, you can't do it. You got to get these guys out, which kind of goes to what I was saying about Kirk and getting Luan out. But like, that's got to be a priority this week.
Who do you think is who do you think is the first big dog that gets voted off?
Great question.
I would vote out Luan. That would be the one for me. Keeping Will, it's tough to say for sure, but like, Will won last season, so unless he does kind of the same thing with Portnoy, unless Will does something really over the top, I think it's hard to vote him the winner again.
Right. I think that's probably why Kirk is kind of staying with them, because he knows that Taylor's probably not going to get voted the winner. I don't think he has the relationships with everybody, but he's got the relationship with Will, and Will's strong with everybody, but Will's not going to be voted the winner because he won last year. So you ride that wave as long as you can. Like, that's what I'd be doing.
It's funny because like in traditional Survivor, you keep your strong players until the final merge, and then usually the final merge is like when things can go crazy. Like the strong players do really, really well, but you want to be able to get to the merge. But like, if I wanted to play like 4D chess right now, I'd go after like Rhea. Like, everybody has to know she's pulling the strings back. Like, I feel like if you pull Rhea off that team, the team just falls apart. I don't know, but like, she is the backbone of that team, and I'd want to just like cause chaos on that team.
That's a good point. I think maybe in the beginning you didn't realize she was pulling the strings, but I think she's been maybe a little more brazen about it. So people are noticing. So that's not a bad call right there.
I think I think there's a chance though. I don't know this, but I know women a little bit. Let me take let me help you here.
Yeah, careful what you say next. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. I think there's a
chance. Dog a girl as she hops up next to you?
That's my dog. Listen, I think there's a chance the other 3 girls are going to be like, fuck this bitch. She's trying to play this game a little bit. Like she thinks she's in charge of all of us because she seems like, the girls are sticking together and whatnot. I could see the other 3 girls being like, let's get this girl out of here. Like, fuck her. She thinks she's the shit. I'm telling you, the first girl that's going to get voted off will be Rhea. I stand by that.
It might be Moobs, though, just because
Too innocent. She's too innocent.
She's
Rhea's
nobody.
pissing people off, right?
Yeah, but I think she pissed Rhea off a little bit.
Yeah, she played really dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Really untrustworthy, really dumb. I kind of agree. I think she's going to be the first one that gets picked off.
I could
Because
see
people might say, like, she's too naive. I can't keep her by my side. She's too naive.
I could see Megan go just because she's so aggressive in everything she does. Like,
yeah,
she was aggressive in taking the ball and not making any shots. She was aggressive in trying to find those guys. And like, if you watch that clip, she literally like goes under Taylor's arm to get into the bathroom.
Yeah,
like,
she was all fired up.
Like she was aggressive, and I'm like, which is great. Like we love to see it as people watching the show, but I could see his teammates being like, all right, A, she's not doing anything in the challenges. B, she's annoying as shit. Let's get rid of her.
Right.
I don't know. I think this week we see at least 2 big names fall this week.
Who do you think goes?
I would guess you're going to get at least one of the NFLers. You're going to get Will or Taylor.
Yep.
And I feel like you're going to get at least Big Cat or Dave this week.
Taylor goes, in my opinion.
Taylor's hasn't played well.
If one of the NFLers go, one of the NHLers got to go.
So who goes first in the NHL on the NHL side?
If it was me, I'd want Biz the fuck out. Biz is arguably the most likable person left on the entire cast.
And he's good.
I agree with that.
His face, man.
You disagree with that thing,
no, I agree. I agree with you.
All right.
Yeah. And it's funny because Witt's had like really bad challenges, and then he's had amazing challenges. But like Witt's very likable, so I don't know.
Witt, and because of the edit, we don't see everything. Witt has been coming off very, very paranoid. So I wonder if there's stuff we haven't necessarily seen that justify that paranoia.
Yeah, I mean, we did see the one scene where they talked about him.
Well, that's true. You're right. Yeah.
Like,
right here. Like, so I think, and you are right though. All of his confessionals, even before that, he was paranoid about everything. He was paranoid that Will told Big Cat, and Big Cat told him not to tell Will, or however that whole thing went down. Like he's been very paranoid since the start.
We kind of talked a little bit about Big Cat's game, especially John earlier. He said that he wasn't a big fan of it. That was actually, as far as keeping the big dogs in, I think that's the best. If I was Big Cat, I want to keep the big dogs in, and I want to keep Megan making sandwiches in. Because Megan is in his pocket. She's in no man's land. She doesn't have any relationships with any of these people. She's directly tied to him. And then all of these, so say like spitting chicklets and busting with the boys, their immediate like direction is not towards one another. It's towards Big Cat. And apparently him and Dave are aligned. So I actually think, again, I love Rico's spot, and I think Big Cat's in a good spot, especially if they can kind of keep rolling with these big dogs, which, I mean, you got to knock them off. That's why I keep saying with Kirk with the girls, man. Kirk with the girls, you grab Rico, and so you can only ride the 4 girls for so long, because then obviously they're going to play the sex card and be like, all right, girls, we got to get the fucking boys out of here.
Right.
We already surpassed them. But for the time being, if I'm Kirk, grab Rico, who seems like he's willing to be loyal to you, especially after the Dave fiasco, and grab the girls, and I would be able to you can do whatever you want. Whether it's Taylor, one of the NHLers, you can knock out whoever the fuck you want.
But Cinema, don't underestimate women's cattiness. They're going to turn on each other at some point.
I'm telling you,
that's even better.
I'm telling you right now, one of these girls will be talking to the other 2 of the other 3, and they're going to be like, yeah, like, do we think we need her, or are you getting sick of her shit? That's coming. I'm telling you, I know women.
Though, I'm telling you, Kelly, Keegs, and Rhea are both they are addicted to reality television, and they've seen that exact thing before. Like, they've seen that happen. Well, if they get to a certain point, they're going to be like, yo, these guys are dumb as fuck for letting all 4 of us get here. And now it's 4 of us versus 4 of them, or whatever the fuck it is. And it's just like, they're able to, pull whatever move they want. I wouldn't be surprised, man.
To Mick's point, Keegs already wanted to get Megan out.
Right.
Like, that would have been Keegs' best play. I think that would have been the team's best play, either her or Keegs herself. But Yeah, I don't know. I like that Rico, Kirk, and a couple girls idea. I think Kirk's very loyal to Will, and then I just don't know if Will thinks Taylor's above him in the ranks or below him, and I think that's why I think everyone's playing kind of a timid game on that side.
For sure.
I think Kirk's got a bunch of room to maneuver on the Will front. I think there's a ton of ways to eliminate people. Like Taylor's obviously the main one. I think Kirk can eliminate Taylor while still keeping Will, which is that's a massive play if possible. But I think that's a very realistic thing that he can do. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that episode. I was stunned. It seemed so obvious, especially episode 6 opened not with just Kirk saying like that was a fuck up, but Rico was just like, he said something along the lines of like, we already had the numbers, something like that. Like, why did we already have the numbers now? Why did we not just use the numbers?
Right.
So it's evident that we can knock off these big dogs and keep, more of these fucking, little dogs around.
Right. I got to say real quick, too, I got to give my guy Jeff D'Lo a shout out. Jeff D'Lo is born to host reality television.
Yeah, he's good.
He's pretty damn good at this. He certainly is.
He feels like Jeff Probst like light. Like he feels like if Jeff Probst ever goes anywhere on CBS, like he would be the obvious next choice because he's really good at it.
Yeah, shout out Jeff Lowe. I'm the type of guy who can appreciate a clean fade, and he definitely has a clean fade, but maybe a little bit too much on top. People are calling him Jeff Pauly D Low. I'm hearing this out.
Wow.
I'm hearing chatter.
Please, where was this is a Patty Ford situation?
No, it's just one of my pre-writtens.
Oh man, what
as soon as Mick brought it up, I was like, nice, I got an in.
Check that one out.
I love Jeff, I really do, and he's doing a fantastic job. Actually, looking a little slim too. He's looking good.
He certainly is.
I want to know why Tommy isn't playing. Like, I understand that like you want the biggest names possible, but like Tommy would be a firecracker thrown into that pot right now.
I agree.
Like if you took say Gilly and Wallow obviously are a pair, but like if you took I don't know Moobs out whatever, if you threw him in there, man, he'd be lighting shit on fire and it'd be very interesting right now.
None of them.
None at all. None. Literally none of it.
Yeah.
You put Tommy Smokes in this field, I would say he's the favorite right away.
Yeah. Which I think he deserves to be there too.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised a guy like PFT isn't in this either. I mean, he's a pretty big name. I know he didn't play great last year, and same with Gaz. I don't think Gaz is really a big name, but he's definitely a shit star. And I'm surprised he's on it.
The other guy I would love to see is Brandon Walker.
Yeah,
Brandon Walker would be fun on the show.
He should be in it. You're right. That is a big mess.
I've started to like really like Brandon Walker. I feel like he's such a good villain, and if you implanted him on this cast, like we'd have some really good funny moments with Brandon. But
I agree.
I don't know, but he's also got a family. Like I don't know, maybe that held him up. But
well, hey, you want to talk about things that are going to lead to the jury? Roan's got twins on the way, which has been social media evident.
Yeah.
Like that's a big thing that people go like, "Hey, like this guy's got this," and he's also on the side that's not super rich, depending on how you get to that final. Compared to Big Cat, Prez, the NHL is, the NFL is. Yeah, he's in the bottom of that pay grade.
Right,
a nice guy with twins on the way, like. That gets him like 80% of the way there if he gets.
I agree, and he doesn't seem like the person who's going to screw over someone who's going to be super influential. Like I feel like he's going to. He doesn't have the alliance of like Dave and Big Cat right now. It feels like the people who are going to matter at the end, he's pretty cool with. So, and again, I don't think many votes are going to be going to the big names towards the end.
Remind me, at the end, is it a final 3 for the vote?
Yeah. I mean, that's what Survivor is. I imagine Surviving Barstool was the same.
Do any of the women make it to the final 3?
Yes.
I would guess yes.
I would maybe Keegs, but that's
the one I was thinking.
Yeah, I would say Rhea or Keegs would be my vote. Just depends on which side kind of flips that way. Because I feel like Dave would bring it right to the end with him if he gets there. But and Keegs is smart and she knows how to. She's a good whenever they do puzzles again, which they've done back-to-back no puzzles now, which is also an interesting thing. But I feel like Megan's gonna, push some people the wrong way, and I feel like Mooby or Moobs or whatever her name is, she's just kind of along for the ride, and I think they're just gonna cut her when they need to.
Yeah.
I think Moobs and Megan are not smart enough to allow a second girl to come in. Like they'll go, like Megan making sandwiches will go to a final, say with like her, Keegs, and whoever the third person is. Whereas Keegs and Rhea have seen enough reality television where they're like, if I go to a final with two guys, I'm going to get that vote of being the only female there.
Right. Play that to your advantage.
It all depends on how it comes down to, because like if you have in the right world, like if I'm one of the girls, I'm like, all right, I want to go to the final with like Dave and fucking like Big Cat. Like that's the ideal scenario.
Right.
Like it all depends on who it is. If I'm also like Kirk, if I'm Kirk, like I keep saying the same thing, but if I'm Kirk, I grab Kelly and one of the other girls, whoever it is. I'd actually probably ask Kelly, like who's the one? Is it Rhea? Is it Moobs? Is it Megan? Which is the one? And like, this is our three. We're going to bring in this person here for 4 and 5. But when we get down to it, it's going to be the three of us.
Yep.
Yeah. And do you think that Kirk's more about making the money, like actually winning the cash, or not getting voted out? Because I think for me, I think if Kirk gets to the end, he's going to be like, all right, like I fucking made it to the fucking end.
Yeah, I think he wants to show something after last year. So I don't think he's really, I'm sure he wants the money, but like, I'm sure he's not totally driven by the money, but I think he wants to stand at the end and say, fuck you. I beat you in trivia. I can beat you in mini golf.
Right.
I beat you at Survivor. I beat you at everything, which would be an incredible moment. But yeah, I think the key number is 3. You need 2 other people with you that need to believe in you. You believe in them, take them to the end. And I could see Kirk, Kelly, and Rico do that.
Maybe Roan.
I like that.
Maybe
I
Roan.
like that, Steve.
Roan's dangerous, though. I feel like
Roan's dangerous. I think
if I've got
that,
Roan with me in the final 4, and it's like, who do I want to eliminate before the final 3? I might want to eliminate Roan just because he is the nice guy that everyone might vote for.
But
hey,
to
Steve,
that point,
you know who's the prime last guy eliminated? It's fucking Rico Bosque.
Oh, he's gonna freak out if that happens. He's gonna lose his shit
when he gets crossed. Oh God,
the prime last candidate for the right before the final 3. That's prime time Rico.
Only Jerry would be better. I mean, the way Jerry reacted to getting voted off was crazy.
It was
but Kirk made a good point. Like he was so close last year. Like he tasted it, and I think he got into the game this year and was like, I can do that again. And everybody was like, no, you're not going to do that again.
It just overplayed.
He did, yeah.
I think Biz is playing a similar game to Will last year, actually, where you're playing well in the challenges. You're kind of buddy-buddy with people, sneaky, kind of acting like you're not scheming, but he obviously has brains. So I think he's going to glide by for a little while on that.
Yeah. He's very likable. Like as far as he comes off likable on the show, and it doesn't seem like there's too much of a problem with anybody. It's not like he's like the athlete who thinks he's cooler than everybody. Like he's kind of down to earth is what it seems like. So I feel like out of all the big dogs, out of all the athletes, including Portnoy and Big Cat for the financial stake, I feel like he's going to go the furthest, just based off that likability.
Biz has 2 big things going for him. One, he's obviously good at challenges. Like I think if you could get the ball into his hands in that challenge, he would have scored points.
Right.
But 2, he does not tell people who to vote for. He says, who do you want to vote for? I'm with you. And I think people are just like, all right, cool. Like Biz, we're going to vote this guy. He's like, great, let's do it. Like that's an automatic ticket to the final merge.
He's been very passive.
He's been very passive. And that's the time where like, if he gets there, it's like, okay, now let's start winning challenges. I'll get individual immunity, hopefully. And he can kind of win this thing. I think he's played a really good game.
Yep.
I mean, I think we've basically covered all of the episodes.
Yeah.
We've already kind of covered a lot of what we think going forward too. I think the biggest thing, it's really cool to come away from this and say like Kirk's got like a real fucking chance at this fucking game. That makes it a lot more interesting, not just for like watching the show, but like for the, the KMS podcast, like all of it. Like it's the unnamed show, the whole fucking thing.
Right.
So
Oh
my
my
question is
Go ahead,
the
sorry.
whole big cat thing he's alluded to now for, I don't know, a month, 2 months.
Yeah.
Is that real? Are we
a
going to
good
see
call.
that play out?
Yeah, it's a great question because I was talking to cousin Christian actually about this because he doesn't follow Surviving Barstool, but he was like, "Oh, you think Kirk's just fucking around, like saying that stuff?" And I'm like, "Well, they unfollowed each other on Twitter. It's been a little while that they've even communicated about it. And if you remember when he first started taking calls, somebody started like making fun of Big Cat. And he's like, just give it a couple of weeks. Like we're gonna need that, but just give it a couple of weeks." So I don't know if it seems like it's real. And the only reason why I think it's real is because he's waited this long to even, he's bit his tongue for this long. I think he's kind of salivating at the mouth, like ready to just be like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Mick,
Yeah,
what
we
if
watched
they go
the
to
show.
final?
They've been on both. Like the way they kind of have been showing it, like they haven't interacted a ton
At
Like
all.
it almost seems like it's building up to
Right.
something.
Right.
What if they get to the final together?
It's a real possibility.
Big Cat going to the finals. I mean, he's likable, so maybe he's definitely more likable than Dave as far as the people who as the company would view it. Like I feel like if they had to choose between Dave winning and him winning, they would choose Big Cat. But I can't see Big Cat being that rich, being that successful, being the guy at the end. Like nobody wants to give him $250,000. Come on.
That's why it's going to be so tough in these. Like you got to pick and choose your way through, not just the following challenges, but like who you want to sit through in the final. Which is why Survivor's gone. So, like when we were young, man, Survivor was about like eating crickets and fucking eating worms on a. You know what I mean?
Starving.
Exactly. Yeah. What was Oh man, the guy who's the Fear Factory? Fear Factory?
Oh,
Fear
Joe
Factory?
Rogan.
Factor.
Joe Rogan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as that. They all fall off and shit. Now, like Survivor became just such a politic and doesn't matter if you're good at challenges, doesn't matter what you're willing to do. It's just all about politics.
Yeah.
It's who you're willing to do this with.
It's funny because we're watching and my wife's like, I'm not really into it. Like I don't really know the players. She's like, I wish they could just have to eat rice. Right, because like in Survivor, it's like that's all they do is like they eat rice, like that's like a reward is eating rice. And I'm like, the thing that would be very hard for this show is take their phones away.
Mm.
If you took all their phones away, which I know Dave would never want that because they need to create content while they're playing this game. But imagine if you took that phone out of Big Cat's hands.
Right.
I know,
Still
like,
so much better than last season, though.
But it's just I would just be like everyone's a little more antsy. Everyone's a little more detached.
For sure.
Forces you to talk more.
Yeah, forces you to talk more. I think you're getting a little more paranoid.
Mhm.
It'd be interesting.
I agree. I think when they speculated if Jerry was texting people about like Francis having the idol, that was my first instinct. Like, why do they even have their phones? Like, what the fuck? Like, they shouldn't have their phone. You're right.
Yep.
But I can't imagine Dave being like, "Hey, Big Cat, you can't tweet for 5 days or whatever it is." Like, I just think it'd be impossible, unfortunately. But
yeah,
I didn't even realize. Like Kirk said, they take the microphones off them at night, which makes sense. Like you gotta kill it at some point. But
hey, Jersey Jerry, he got eliminated. But that camera of his, that nighttime shit, no better time for that, man.
yeah, for sure.
Crazy. Imagine like finding that thing and being like, is that a lens on that? Like, what the fuck?
Oh my God, for real. It's a goddamn horror movie. Fucking
What the fuck?
Francis brought up a good point. He was just like, what if it was fucking like Rhea in there? And it was just like,
It's like, what?
touche. So what do we before we close out? I guess like just let's do like expectations for the final. I know we're all cheering for Kirk, obviously, but like if you were cheering for a second person, let's say after Kirk, who are you cheering for? Not who you think's gonna win. Who are you cheering for? Whoever. John, go.
I do find myself rooting for Biz and Francis. Just not even trying. I just watching the show. Those are the two I seem to be kind of pulling for. With a ton of respect to Rhea, by the way. I like the way she's playing the game.
Yeah, she's playing a hard game. She's definitely willing to go both sides and kind of risk that, like because she's a snake. I mean, she's lying right to people's faces and having no problem with it, which you kind of have to do in Survivor. But
sure,
I would say as far as the people who I want to win, Biz is definitely one of them. He's likable, and then I would say Roan. Roan's probably my other one, other than Kirk. Obviously, I want Kirk to win, but
yeah,
Biz and Roan would be my other two.
Okay,
yeah, I'm right there with you. Like Biz, Roan would be great, and then like you got to root for Wit too. Like Wit's one of the classic third chairs. Like he's been fun to watch. Like even my wife, she's like, I don't know this guy, but I like him. Like he's
I could just listen to him talk forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
So he's been fun to watch, but I'd root for one of those three. And I think all three actually have a pretty good chance at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah. I would put Megan making sandwiches in there too. I like her. I got a bias. I'm a big fan.
She's a spitfire. She's like you, Mick.
Yeah.
She causes some hell, you know.
I will take that. Sure.
Yeah.
He looks like a spitfire.
Yeah.
There's a Minute who's been sending me some things that I approve of.
There's a group chat for a reason. So
Yeah.
Oh shit. I gotta say, I'm definitely cheering for Whit number one, but if I had to pick, I mean, obviously Kirk number one. After Whit, I would love to see Rico win this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Oh, to see
true.
Rico win this.
That's a good point.
Yep.
That would be so cool. And you know, like, there's been a separation since the trivia thing, but Kirk would be pumped if fucking Rico won this thing.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Rico's such an easy guy to dunk on. Like he's made so many mistakes. He's Portnoy's number one target. Like for him to get this win, I feel like that'd be pretty good. He's always getting the loss at the end of the day. So
you're right. I am rooting for Rico. Yeah.
And he still had a great the jousting moment, knocking Dave off, Dave off the entire platform, not just the standing thing.
No, he sent him into the bleachers,
and then throwing the joust at him and flexing on him is like. Rico's going to have that for the next 20 years on Dave.
Yeah.
What about the montage they played after he turns to Portnoy and he's like, I'm thinking about going no meds. And then they played the montage of all his moments.
Somebody asked me, he goes, what meds you taking? He's like, the ones that make you stop throwing cans at people.
That was a great line.
It was. Yeah. The two Rico sizzle reels were fucking both fantastic. Very, very funny.
Cinema, didn't you do like a Survivor draft?
Yeah. I think John said you were in one too.
I did a pool, yeah.
Yeah. I did a pool. Me and three of my buddies. We did.
How's that going for you? As expected.
I'm down to Luan and Whitney.
Jeez,
lost
4. I've got Francis and Moobs. I had Clemmer.
So Clemmer, we didn't talk about enough, I think, but he is a guy that knows Survivor, and I think like if he was still in the game, I'd be rooting for him. I think he could go very far. I just think he overplayed his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like there should have never been a pizza
four. Yeah, he pushed
and,
it
and too trusting. Yeah,
he was too loud about it. I feel like that's all he was talking. I mean, maybe they just did that on purpose for the sake of editing, but I feel like every word out of his mouth was the pizza 4. Like, come on, Clemmer, they're gonna kill you at some point.
Yeah.
I think I got everything, boys.
Oh, speaking of Clemmer, one kind of closing thought is Gilly calling Clemmer Kramer was a great moment.
Oh, that was great.
And for me, you could convince me that of two things: either A, he just didn't like really know how to say his name, so he said Kramer, or B, he thought he looked like Kramer. Both of those play. So
that is true. That is true. He goes, your boy Kramer there. It was great. It's fucking great.
That was good.
I wanted to say this to Kirk this week, but I didn't get a chance. I feel like Gilly is the adult grown black version of Harry Minahan, because Gilly would just start laughing about stuff and roll on the ground. And Kirk always says how like Harry finds the stupidest things funny. We'll just be rolling on the ground laughing. Right. Or like Gilly would do the same thing. Like Gilly will, like nobody else is laughing, but Gilly thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. And it's like I said, 4 episodes, perfect.
It was. Yeah, you were right, Steve.
You were right. 5 or 6 would have been rough with Gilly.
Right.
That was perfect. You're right. Anybody else got anything?
I'm good. I think we got it all. I'm down to do another one of these if you want to do it before the final 3 or something like that. I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Do that. What is it? They're doing holiday after 3. Do the week before the final 3.
Yeah, something like that. Totally in.
Let's do that then.
Right.
Thank you boys for coming on. That was a great time.
Of course. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I hope all you guys have been enjoying Surviving Barstool. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Thanks for the boys for coming on. Thank you, Kirk, for putting it on the network. All that good stuff. We'll talk to you. I won't be doing shit. Yeah, and we won't talk to you till after the holiday. So everybody have a happy Christmas, happy New Year, and we will talk to you guys after that. Take it easy. Happy watching.